fellow Virgos, I am a Virgo like you, so welcome to our video, we could say. Yeah, we're going to talk about different kind of counterpart energies, like what signs would be perfect for Virgo. And before we dive into that, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Janine. I am an astrologer. Obviously, I am a spiritual coach, a manifestation coach, and a psychic medium. And I am available for coaching and for astrology readings as well. But Virgo, let's dive in. First of all, I have to repeat myself. I said that in every video. Your divine counterpart, if it's a soulmate, can have any sign. So if you ever read anywhere that something would not be a good match, please discard it. Okay? Forget about it, because that is way too shallow, and we don't do shallows. We're Virgos. Virgo doesn't do shallow, right? We like to analyze. So forget it. Maybe you've read somewhere, I don't know, Virgo and Cancer would not be a good match, because we like to be a little bit blunt sometimes, very honest, and Cancer can be highly emotional, so that could be a mismatch, because we don't like to hurt other people, even though we are very blunt and we have this dry sense of humor. But you know, some more sensitive signs could be offended. So maybe that's not the perfect match at the first glance. However, we always have to check out the entire chart, because you may be a Virgo, and I'm just taking Cancer as an example. You know, we can apply that to any sign. But maybe you are a Virgo, but you're Cancer rising or Cancer moon. So a Cancer would be very good for you. Or maybe they're a Cancer, but they're a Virgo rising or Virgo moon, and then still it would be very good for you. Or maybe you are a Virgo, but your sun is in the 4th house, or your moon, which is the Cancer house, or their sun or moon is in the 6th house, which is the Virgo house. You know, then it would be a good match. So we cannot just say, taking one sign, the sun sign, and say it's a good match or not. Okay, that's absolutely shallow BS. You need to see the entire chart. Also, we need to check out synastry, because in synastry we have your birth chart and the other person's birth chart, and we lay them on top of each other to see how all of your planets interact with one another. And even though they might be, again, let's take Cancer as an example, and you think that's not a match, you may have some beautiful connections that can indicate a long-lasting relationship. So please don't ever say no to any sign just because you've read somewhere this sign would not be a match. Okay, we have to check out everything. So don't worry, any sign could be your perfect counterpart. There is way more to astrology than just that. So again, your perfect match can be any sign. But we want to talk about archetypes in here, you know, but we talk about the Virgo archetype, and we're talking about what would be a good match for the Virgo archetype. And I need to remind you that you consist of more than one archetype. You know, you have the moon in one placement, you have Venus in one placement, you have a rising sign, you have your sun and your moon in a house. So you're loaded with different archetypes. Okay, so we're talking about the archetype right now, and whatever I'm going to say right now applies to the Virgo archetype, but we would have to check you and your person's entire chart to make sure if this applies to you specifically. Okay, keep that in mind. So what would be good for a Virgo? Good for a Virgo could be another Virgo. And there is this soul archetype that is called a mirror soul. But again, just because you attract another Virgo does not mean that they're your mirror soul. A mirror soul would have more sameness. They would have probably the same moon sign. Sun and moon are the most important, especially the moon in relationships is the most important, also Venus. So they would have many signs in the same, many planets in the same signs as you do. But again, we're talking about archetypes. So you attract someone who is like you, which could be another Virgo. That could go either very well or not well at all. It depends on your level of maturity, your level of ascension. If you still have a lot of shadows, then you can only attract another person that has a lot of shadows. You will not attract somebody who's healed. Just when you're healed, you will not attract somebody who has a lot of shadows. It's not possible. It's against the law of attraction, and it's a universal law. So imagine you attract another Virgo and you're still like very critical of yourself, of the other person. can be very nagging. That could be a negative Virgo trait. And then you attract somebody who's just like that, and you will drive each other crazy. However, if you're more evolved, then you will attract a more evolved Virgo, and then that could be a perfect match. Okay, could be a perfect match because Virgo gets each other. They're the same. However, if you have a lot of sameness, those are usually our connections where there's not a big of growth and evolvement going on, which is perfectly fine because not everybody decided to come here to go through a spiritual awakening journey with a counterpart. You know, some didn't choose that template at all. Some chose that template in another aspect, family aspect or work or whatever, or going to a monastery to grow. You don't need another person. But if you attract a mirror soul, then often it can trigger an awakening in you, of course, if you mirror your shadows, and then you get aware of your shadows, and then you can ascend and have this beautiful connection. But usually you need some differences coming, because sameness can cause some kind of stagnation. So often they would drive each other crazy and split up, or they're the same and then they have this beautiful relationship, but again there's not a lot of growth, which is fine because again not every soul chose to come here to do that. Another beautiful thing for a Virgo would be another earth sign, and the other earth signs would be Taurus and Capricorn. We do see it here. Virgo is this triangle downwards with the line going through, and this is earth, and another earth sign would share the same energy, the same earth energy, so they naturally get each other because they share the same element. Also in astrology, the other earth signs would be 120 degrees apart from Virgo, which in astrology forms a trine, and trine are the most harmonious flowing aspects of all of the aspects. So you naturally have a very flowing, easy relationship. A soul twin would again be someone who is similar because they have the same element yet different. You could see them maybe more like a doppelganger than a twin, or maybe like non-identical twins. That would be not a good, you know, they were twins, they were born together, however they come from two fertilized eggs, so they are not identical, and they will get each other very good. They will get along. It's a very smooth sailing. There's usually not a lot of trauma going on. That's usually the people that meet each other and see, oh, we're a good match, and then they grow old together. But again, just because you're Virgo and you meet a Taurus or Capricorn doesn't mean that there is soul twin. There would be other indicators in your birth charts as well. You know, if you're interested in that, you can contact me. We can analyze your birth chart, you and your person, to find out how flowing, how easygoing it is, or where you can evolve. However, again, a good aspect, a good counterpart energy for Virgo would be again Taurus or Capricorn. Why? Because we do have similar energy, however they're different. We are ruled by Mercury, so we like to think and talk. Then there is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so very sensual placement. And then there's Capricorn, that is ruled by Saturn, very committal, serious energy. So they all bring something else to the table, even though they're a lot alike, and that bringing something else to the table can of course bring growth, but not in a very harsh way like a mirror soul can when they're too much alike. Or we're going to talk about the split twin flames next. That can be a very harsh aspect. However, there is growth, there is evolvement in a very flowing, peaceful way. The split twin flame for Virgo would be Pisces energy, but again, that is just an example. My split twin flame, for example, was a Virgo as well. However, it was split because we had the sun in opposite houses, we had opposite rising signs. So as I always say, you need to have more than one aspect to determine what it is, okay? But you see here, the other feminine sign would be water. We have earth and water, and earth and water are again the feminine signs, so they are the more emotional signs. They get each other in that regard. But for Virgo, it would be Pisces, because Virgo is ruling the 6th house down here, and Pisces is ruling the 12th house, the opposite house. So Virgo and Pisces are polar opposites. And if you're interested in that, I recorded a video that's called something like Same, Opposing, and Complementary Energy, where I talk about a personal experience with a Pisces that I didn't get along with. He was very nice. It's just I didn't get him. He didn't get me, because Virgo and Pisces are polar opposites. And naturally, polar opposites, they don't understand. How is black supposed to understand white? You know, it's the polar opposite. However, black and white do belong together. It's black and white. It's not black and light gray, or white and very dark gray. It's black and white. It's the extreme. It's the polar opposite. And just by being polar opposite, they have some kind of magnetism. However, if you are polar opposites and you don't have any sameness, it's not going to work out, because you won't understand each other. You will be too different. You will be exactly opposite, and that's hard to balance out. So in split twin connections, we have the polar opposite, but at the same time we have sameness. For me, again, my split twin was a Virgo. We had that sameness, however, in opposite houses, because we had opposite rising signs. The opposites, let's say you're a Virgo and your person is a Pisces, then the sameness could be that you have the same moon sign, for example, or you do have one person is a Pisces sun, the other Virgo sun, but you have it in the same house. So you are still loaded with the same energy. And that way, so you need this third aspect, this third energy, like the moon or the same house energy, to find a middle ground, so you can learn to balance the opposites out. And then that would be your perfect match. A Virgo and a Pisces can be a perfect match if they have common ground. Otherwise, they're too different, they don't get each other, not gonna work out. And split twins usually have several oppositions. Again, it doesn't have to be Virgo Pisces. It could be Virgo Virgo, but in opposite houses. It could be Virgo Virgo, but the moon is in opposites, okay, signs. So it could be in different ways, but we're just talking about, okay, you're Virgo sun, other person is a Pisces sun. So we have polar opposites, and you need to balance it out. And being confronted with someone who's a polar opposite of you can be very triggering, and that is why a split twin would go through all of that stuff. Remember the soul twins, when we were talking about trines, yeah, there is development going on, but it's flowing, it's very peaceful, whereas the opposition, that's a harsh aspect. So that can be very painful to learn to balance that. And you know, when we talk about a squaring sign would be like a karmic sign that you can heal. You can overcome a square, but you cannot never overcome an opposition, because that is always like magnets, always balancing each other out. So a split twin will have to learn to balance their energy in order to balance the energy of the other person out, and then to attract each other. And that is why the split twin journey is extremely painful, because all of your dark stuff is getting mirrored. You don't get what you want from the other person. One is the runner, one is the chaser, for example, and it's difficult, you know. However, just by being Virgo and Pisces, there is already some kind of similar, because you do share the feminine energy, even though one person will be more in the masculine energy and one will be more in the feminine energy. Since you share an oversoul, that already is more feminine or more masculine, and I explained that in depth in the other video. So if you have questions about that, please check out the long video about different kind of soul connections. I explain it in detail. But however, you need to learn to balance that, and then it can be your perfect match. Again, Pisces can be your perfect match if you learn to balance it out. Okay, so we need to check the whole chart. For monadic twin flames, your perfect match would be Gemini, and that could be a surprise for some of you, because in astrology, Gemini and Virgo would form a square. But disregard that, because they still have the same. That is a square that can be easily overcome, same as Pisces and Sagittarius that are also forming a square, and yet they're counterparts. Why are Virgo and Gemini counterparts? Because they're both ruled by Mercury. So they already bring sameness in their energy, because both are very cerebral. They are both ruled by the same planet. However, Virgo is the yin, the feminine aspect of Mercury, and Gemini is the yang, the masculine aspect of Mercury. So they bring sameness. They are the same Mercury energy, however, counterparts, yin yang. And a monadic twin flames, again, just because you meet a Gemini doesn't mean they're your twin flame. You would have that in almost all of your planets. You know, you would have the moon in yin yang signs. You would have Mars, Venus in yin yang signs, or also you find it a lot, in addition to having several placements in yin yang signs. And we're talking about personal planets, okay? They're more important than the generational planets, and still you would have, for example, one person has Saturn in the second house and the other person will have it in Taurus. Taurus is the second, connected to the second house, so you both would have Saturn connected to Taurus energy or Jupiter or whatever it is. So you will find a lot of yin yang energy in monadic twin flames. Again, not just one sign. Virgo and Gemini get each other again because they are ruled by the same planet, and you see it here. You see air and earth, they're counterparts, because we do have them even more so. Those are counterparts as well, somewhat, but you see they're not as perfect as these because they're both feminine energy, even though one will have more masculine aspect than the other one will have more feminine aspects due to that split. However, here we have masculine and feminine. We got air and earth, and again in this with Virgo, the perfect air sign would be Gemini, because it is ruled by Mercury, the same planet. So they naturally understand each other, and they naturally they don't need the outside factor like split twins to balance the energy, because they already bring that to the table naturally. And that is why in monadic twin flames they meet each other later on in life after they have learned to balance everything. You can only attract in that extremely harmonious energy once you have done your healing process, you know, your healing stuff. So monadic twin flames would meet when they're older, not when they're like 15. They would meet after they have ascended, and then they would draw in their monadic twin flame energy, if they have a monadic twin flame energy. They're very rare. So again, not every Gemini would be your monadic twin. You have to analyze everything. But let's sum it up. Good energy for Virgo would be another Virgo, depending on your level of ascension. It would be the other earth signs, Taurus and Capricorn. It would be Pisces. Pisces either perfect match or no match at all, depending on do you share something similar, or of course Gemini, because they already bring the same energy to the table but are yet complementary. So it's the perfect sign. But again, your personal perfect match can be any sign. You would have to check the entire chart. And again, not everybody came here on a twin flame journey, a monadic twin flame journey. Your perfect counterpart could be a soulmate, and that is beautiful because your soul chose what to experience before it came here. So everything is beautiful, everything is perfect. Not everybody chose this the same, I don't want to say mission, but the same experience. Okay, anyway, if this helped you, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share this video, share them with your friends, help me grow my channel. I am available for personal readings and your own astrology analysis, and I hope I see you in other videos. Now, bye bye.